Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 624, The Butcher's Blade, Intermediate. In a small coastal town where the wind carried the tang of salt, there was a butcher's shop called Marrow's Meats. Its windows were grimy, but the meat inside looked fresh, almost too perfect. Anna, a cook new to town, visited one stormy evening to buy chops for her restaurant. The shop smelled of blood and bleach, and the fluorescent lights buzzed. Mr. Marrow, a tall man with a sallow face, stood behind the counter sharpening his cleaver. His eyes glinted as he handed Anna a package of chops, his fingers brushing hers. They were cold like ice. "Special cut today," he said, his voice low. Anna noticed a scar on his hand, shaped like a crescent moon, raw and red. At her restaurant, Anna unwrapped the meat. It was bright red, but it squished oddly under her knife, leaking a thick black fluid. She cooked it anyway, serving it to customers who praised its taste. Hours later, some returned, clutching their stomachs, their skin pale and slick with sweat. That night, Anna dreamed of the chops wriggling on her counter, sprouting veins that pulsed like worms. She woke, heart racing, and checked her fridge. The remaining meat was moving, quivering like jelly. She grabbed a knife and stabbed it, but it split apart, each piece crawling toward her with tiny, fleshy tendrils. Terrified, Anna returned to the shop at dawn. The door was ajar, the counter empty. A wet scraping sound came from the back. She crept through a curtain and froze. A massive meat grinder roared in the corner, spitting out red paste. Hanging from hooks were human arms and legs, their skin flayed to reveal raw muscle. A severed foot twitched, toes curling. Marrow appeared, his scar glowing faintly. "The blade demands flesh," he whispered, raising his cleaver. Anna ducked, grabbing a butcher's hook from the wall. She swung, catching his shoulder. Black ooze poured from the wound, and it sealed shut instantly. His laugh was guttural, inhuman. Anna ran, slipping on blood-slicked tiles. The grinder hummed louder, and she saw it, the crescent scar carved into its metal, pulsing like a heart. The machine was alive, fed by the blade in Marrow's hand. Severed limbs on the floor crawled towards her, fingers scraping. She hacked at them with the hook, their screams high-pitched as they bled black. In a panic, Anna lunged for the grinder and jammed the hook into its scar. Sparks flew and the machine screeched, spewing gore. Marrow collapsed, his body dissolving into a pile of writhing meat. The limbs stopped moving. The shop went silent. Anna fled, calling the police. They found nothing but ash and bone fragments in the shop, as if it had burned from within. The grinder was gone. Anna closed her restaurant and left town, haunted by nightmares of crawling flesh. Years later, the shop was rebuilt as a cafe. No one spoke of Marrow, but one night the customer found a crescent-shaped scar on her wrist. She'd vanished by morning, and the cafe's meat slicer was missing. Vocabulary notes. Quiver, verb, definition, to shake or tremble slightly, often due to fear, excitement, or weakness. Example, the remaining meat was moving, quivering like jelly. Explanation. In the story, quiver describes the unsettling movement of the meat, suggesting it's alive and trembling, which adds to the horror. New example sentence. The cold wind made Anna's hands quiver as she held the knife. Similar words. Tremble, to shake involuntarily, often from fear or cold, e.g., she trembled at the sight of the blood. Slightly stronger emphasis on fear than quiver. Shudder, a sudden intense shake, often from disgust or horror, e.g., he shuddered when he saw the severed foot, implies a more dramatic reaction. Vibrate, to move back and forth rapidly, e.g., the phone vibrated on the table, more mechanical, less emotional than quiver. Guttural, adjective. Definition, a sound or voice that is rough, harsh, or produced deep in the throat. Example, his laugh was guttural, inhuman. Explanation, in the story, guttural describes Marrow's laugh, emphasizing its eerie, animal-like quality, which heightens the creepy atmosphere. New example sentence. The dog's guttural growl warned strangers to stay away. Similar words. Hoarse, a rough or raspy voice, often from strain or illness, e.g., her hoarse voice barely carried over the noise, less intense than guttural. Gruff, rough or stern in manner or voice, e.g., the old man's gruff tone scared the children, suggests a personality trait more than sound quality. Rasping, a harsh grating sound, e.g., his rasping cough echoed in the room, focuses on a scraping quality, often unpleasant. Flay, verb. Definition, to strip off the skin or outer covering of something, especially by cutting or whipping. Example, hanging from hooks were human arms and legs, their skin flayed to reveal raw muscle. Explanation, flay is used to describe the gruesome removal of skin from body parts, intensifying the horror of the scene in the butcher shop. New example sentence, the chef flayed the fish carefully to prepare it for cooking. Similar words, peel, to remove the outer layer, often less violently, e.g., she peeled the apple with a knife, less brutal than flay. Skin, to remove the skin, typically of an animal, e.g., the hunter skinned the deer, similar to flay, but more neutral, used in everyday contexts. Strip, to remove something, like a covering in a general sense, e.g., he stripped the bark from the tree, broader and less gory than flay. Ooze, verb. Definition, to flow or leak out slowly, often in a thick or slimy way, like a liquid. Example, black ooze poured from the wound, but it sealed shut instantly. Explanation, ooze describes the unnatural, thick fluid coming from Marrow's wound, adding to the grotesque and supernatural elements of the story. New example sentence, mud oozed between Anna's fingers as she dug in the wet soil. Similar words, seep, to flow or leak slowly through small openings, e.g., water seeped through the crack in the wall, suggests a gentler flow than ooze. Drip, to fall in drops or small amounts, e.g., blood dripped from the cut on her hand, less thick and viscous than ooze. Trickle, to flow in a thin, slow stream, e.g., a trickle of sweat ran down his face, implies a lighter, less sticky flow. Splat, verb. Definition, to hit or fall with a flat, smacking sound, often describing something soft or wet hitting a surface. Example, note, the story doesn't use splat directly, but it fits the imagery. Adapted example for clarity. The meat fell to the floor, splatting in a pool of blood. Explanation, splat would describe the sound and action of soft, wet objects, like the meat or gore, hitting the ground, enhancing the visceral horror of the scene. New example sentence. The tomato splattered against the wall, leaving a red stain. Similar words. Splash. To scatter liquid or hit with a wet sound. E.g., water splash when she jumped into the puddle. Broader often involves liquid. Smack. To hit with a sharp sound. Not always wet, e.g., the book smacked the table loudly, focuses on the sound rather than texture. Squelch, a wet sucking sound, often from something soft or muddy, e.g., her boots squelched in the mud, more specific to wet, soft surfaces. Story written by Grok 3 AI, image created by Grok 3 AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.
Okay, imagine this for a second. Your local butcher shop, place you walk past, maybe pop into.
Sure.
But what if something truly monstrous was lurking inside? That's kind of the chilling idea we're kicking off with today. We're doing a deep dive into a short story, The Butcher's Blade, that takes that mundane setting and just twists it.
Yeah.
And we'll also unpack some really potent vocabulary the author uses.
Exactly. Our mission here is really to explore how specific narrative choices, and especially that vivid language, can turn something totally ordinary into, well, a scene of genuine horror. You'll get a sense of the storytelling craft and how powerful those word choices can be.
Right. So let's set the scene. We're in this small coastal town. There's Marrow's meats.
Mm-hmm.
You picture it, maybe grimy windows, a bit run down. But the story says the meat inside looks almost too perfect.
Mm-hmm. Already a bit off.
Right on. So Anna, she's a new cook, needs some chops. She meets the owner, Mr. Marrow. He's got this sallow face and this really specific scar on his hand, like a crescent moon.
That detail sticks with you.
It does. And when he gives her the meat, she notes it feels cold, like ice.
Yeah.
It's just unsettling from the get-go.
Absolutely. Those are like the perfect little breadcrumbs, the early warnings, that almost too perfect description. It immediately makes you uneasy. It's not just fresh, it's unnatural. And the scar you mentioned, that crescent, it feels loaded, doesn't it? Like it hints at something older, maybe ritualistic, hiding just beneath the surface.
And it only gets weirder. Anna cooks the chops, right?
Yeah.
And this thick black fluid starts like oozing out of them.
Ugh, not exactly appetizing.
No. And even though some customers initially say it tastes amazing, they start coming back later, pale, clutching their stomachs. Something is definitely wrong.
Yeah, the praise followed by sickness is a classic horror trope. Builds that dread.
Then comes the nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Anna dreams the chops are wriggling on her couch. Yeah. So she runs to her fridge, pulls out the leftover meat, and it is moving. The story says, quivering like jelly and sprouting these tiny fleshy tendrils.
Okay, that's deeply disturbing.
Yeah.
And quivering, that word choice is fantastic.
It really is. It's not just shaking, is it?
No, not at all. Quiver gives it this awful living quality, like it's trembling with some inner horrible life. It makes your skin crawl because it turns food into something monstrously alive. That's pure body horror.
So, completely freaked out, Anna goes back to the butcher shop super early the next morning, door slightly open.
Uh-oh.
She hears this sound, a wet scraping sound coming from the back room.
Doesn't sound good.
It's not. She pushes the door open and finds, well, it's horrific, a huge meat grinder roaring away, and hanging from hooks are human arms and legs.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And the skin is flayed to reveal raw muscle.
Wow. And flayed there. It's such a visceral, violent word. It's not just peeled or skin. Flay implies deliberate, brutal removal. It strips away everything down to the raw, shocking reality of what's happening. Powerful stuff.
Then Marrow just appears. His crescent scar is described as glowing faintly. Super creepy.
Glowing. Okay, now we're definitely supernatural.
Definitely. He whispers, "The blade demands flesh," and actually hits and tries to fight back.
Good for her.
Yeah, but this black ooze poured from the wound, and then it just seals shut instantly. And his laugh is described as guttural, inhuman.
See, again, the word choice. Ooze, not bleed. Ooze suggests something thick, slow, unnatural. Sickening, really. It underlines the corruption, the alien nature of whatever marrow is. And guttural for the laugh, rough, deep from the throat. It removes any humanity. It sounds primal, animalistic almost. Far more effective than just saying he had a hoarse laugh.
So, in this desperate moment, Anna spots the same crescent scar, but carved into the metal of the meat grinder itself. And it's pulsing.
The grinder, too. Okay, that's the source.
Seems like it. She grabs a butcher's hook and jams it right into that scar on the machine.
Yes.
The grinder just screeches, spraying gore everywhere. And Marrow, he collapses, dissolving into just writhing meat.
Writhing meat. What an image.
Horrifying. Anna bolts, obviously.
Yeah.
The police come, investigate, but all they find are ash and bone fragments, like it never happened.
A clean slate, almost. But horror like that rarely stays gone, does it?
Exactly. The story ends years later. The shop's gone, replaced by a cafe, but then a new customer shows up. Someone with a crescent scar in their hand.
Oh, no.
The cafe owner disappears soon after.
Yeah.
And so does a brand new meat slicer from the kitchen.
The cycle continues. Chilling. The evil just finds a new vessel, a new blade.
It really shows, doesn't it, how even a short story, told really well, uses that precise language, those vivid images, to just lodge itself in your brain and create this lasting, really unsettling feeling. It turns a simple story into proper horror.
Absolutely. It hammers home how the everyday, the familiar, can become terrifying with just a few unsettling details and those perfectly chosen words we talked about. Quiver, flay, ooze, guttural. It really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole deep dive. It kind of raises a question for you listening. What hidden horrors might be lurking just under the surface, in the ordinary places you know, waiting perhaps for their own blade to demand flesh?